A good evening and welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View this evening. I hope you're all doing well. It is Monday, the 11th of November. Yeah, I'm just table check this just to make sure everything's okay, and then we're going to get into some interesting headlines. Evening and welcome back to the One Celtic Fans. Just checking that's okay. We're all good sound wise, so let's get into the video. And yeah, it's been a day of. But you always know that the media are going to have pot shots at Celtic after anything that the Green Brigade do. Add Rio Hatate potential red card into the mix, and it's a free take a line, just take pot shots at Celtic all day. I'm going to look at some of the headlines and I'm going to talk about a couple of things that have happened today, which I thought was completely funny. Now, if anyone remembers Roger Mitchell, you remember Roger Mitchell, he was head of the SPFL. He blocked me on Twitter tonight because I asked a perfectly normal question, but he did block me on Twitter due to the fact that he didn't like the question that I answered, that I asked him. He was having a dig. I mean, he reposted a Remembrance Day thing, and then at the same time manages to have a go at Celtic fans, and basically asking the board to ban fans. Now, I'm not up for that whatsoever. Roger Mitchell was the person that was in charge of the SPFL for many years, and I asked him a serious question back, and he was going on about that he's been asked to come on and speak to papers, and I was like, well, come on. I was going to ask him to come on to this channel and speak directly to the Celtic fans, because if this is the ones that he thinks he cares about, and I was going to reply to one of his comments where he said that he'd been asked by Celtic fans, for him to go onto the board. He can't get onto the board. He can't just walk onto the board. He doesn't even have shares in Celtic, for goodness sake. But anyway, Roger Mitchell blocked me before I could reply because of a question that I asked him. It was a civil question. There was no malice in it. It was just an honest question. But rather than give me a response, he just blocked me straight away. Anyway, who cares? Roger Mitchell, you've had your little claim to fame on this channel, and that's the only time you'll ever get mentioned again. And next up, I'm going to go through some of the headlines because obviously there was a lot of people talking about the situation with Rio Hatate, and there's been a few referees saying that it should have been a red card. Shouldn't have been a red card. Should have been a red card. If it was Celtic, it would have been a red card. But then we forget that there was about as much contact on his knee as there was the elbow that almost smashed Kasper Schmeichel in the face. Now, if that elbow had connected with Kasper Schmeichel on the face, would the Kilmarnock player got a red card? I don't see the hurrah or the fury over a player intentionally wanting to hurt another player. Rio pulls his leg away when he realises he's about to make contact. There's very limited contact with the player, if any whatsoever. The player doesn't change direction at all. He goes over on the ground because he knows that there's slight contact. But when a player intentionally puts his elbow up to try and hit a goalkeeper in the face and then throw his body round as if he didn't mean it, Kasper Schmeichel's not the type of person to lose the plot, lose the shit for nothing. And it's free pot shot day at Celtic. I'm going to go through some of the headlines now. Should Celtic be excluded from Remembrance Sunday tributes? That's one headline. Another headline. Celtic star should have been sent off versus Kilmarnock as VAR told they got a key call wrong. There's another one. That's not that one. But then I'll give their due to not a Jew. I'll give their due. Oh, jeez, that was a slip of the tongue. To the Daily Mail of all publications. They started off the day having a complete go at Celtic, and then they put out another article this evening. Rodgers' class of 2024 looks like being the finest vintage yet. A positive piece about Celtic. And then there's one about Liam Scales. I want to talk about that because he's come as an Irish publication talking about Scales. But then this evening, tomorrow, by the way, the Scottish media will go hell for leather. They will go hell for leather on everything anti-Celtic and anti-Green Brigade and anti-minute silence, and it's just to make up paper space. They've spent the day trying to interview anybody and everybody and anybody that's once had an iota, that's had a nipple involved in Scottish football, to have their opinion. Even though the likes of Roger Mitchell hasn't had anything to do with Scottish football, and he hasn't lived in Scotland for 25 years. He hasn't lived in Scotland for 25 years, but he still reckons that he's a Celtic legend. He's not a Celtic legend. He's somebody that was in charge of the SPFL and wanted to try and get a hand on Celtic at one time, but couldn't. Anyway, piss off. Celtic fans embarrassed during club's minute silence. Brendan Rodgers put in awkward remembrance position. That's a headline that they've just put out this late afternoon. Another one. Celtic fans excavated by ex-FIFA Supremo for desecrating remembrance minute silence. The meaning is lost. That's another one that's just went out this evening. And you know the publications that we'll be talking about, because they're going to go hell for leather with it tomorrow. And there's going to be more and more headlines on the back pages of the papers tomorrow trying to have a dig at Celtic. But there is a couple of good news stories coming out about Celtic, and we'll talk about them in just a second. We will get into the good news stories in the media. I think it's hilarious. And do you know what's deep down behind it? Let's talk about the reality of why the media are hurting, the people in the media are hurting, and why it's anything that Celtic can do, they're going to pounce on it to try and make us out to be as bad as possible. Breaking news, the Rangers are shite. The Rangers are shite. And it is purely for the fact that they and their team, their beloved Rangers are shite. Their beloved Rangers are shite. And the fact that if, it's like Chris Boyd said, they can just about handle being 9 points behind Celtic, but being 9 points behind Aberdeen also in the league. They see that as absolutely disgusting. You know, the fact that Aberdeen are up there fighting with us for the league, I mean, they can't live with that at all. And I really, really, really want Dundee United and Motherwell to overstate them in the league. I mean, they're only 3 points behind. We beat Rangers in the new year, and that gives it a level playing field as far as I'm concerned. I want Dundee United and Motherwell to push them down into 5th position. I want them to finish the league down in 5th, back to where they were back in the 1980s. This BS about that they are the people and all this BS in Scottish football. Before the late 80s, when Murray took them over, they were nothing. They were absolutely nothing. They were a dreadful mess, just like they are now. They're a dreadful mess now, and I want the three teams those two teams to jump up above them in the league and to leave them down in 5th position. Anyway, that's enough about that. Let's jump into the comment section and see what everyone's saying in the comment section. I'll say good evening to everyone, because I've been rambling on for 8 minutes 57 seconds without saying good evening. Anyway, Wex was first up from Wexford Island. David Castles was in next. Talking about that was the same. The Huns get a bag of cans and just sitting and go had soon. Yep. Jim McClarty, evening everyone. Hope you're all well. Tam Max in the house, evening to you. Mark says Green Brigade Legends Ultra. Or best, as Stephen Johnson says, Hank says, same to me, Baz, because I said, I hope everyone's fine. Serere is coming in from North London. Big Des says, evening, Baz and the troops. Super shitboard chat is a class. It's just slag Hun chat. James 420 somewhere. 420 TS says, hello everyone. Big Des says, Stephen Johnson and everyone. Else in the One Celtic chat, hail. I'm going to jump through some of them. Brian Hart is in the house. He says, hello there. Hello. Hello. It's like you're on the phone. Hello there. It's happening. Joseph Davidson says, hi Baz, Tamak's in the house, Jim F is in the house, says, evening Baz. We're going to jump past all the evenings. What happened to free speech? Exactly. I don't want to make this a thing about the whole minute silence thing, because I mean, you notice that James McLean still gets it down south. James McLean decided not to stand arm in arm with no, let's move on for that. I'm not fucking talking about it. I'm not giving it any more airtime, and I'm not letting them control the narrative of, never mind the media, but this channel. They're not getting to control the narrative of this channel. Not a fucking chance. But anyway, covering up George Square Remembrance Day from March. Who cares about that? Respect the fallen, despise the tyrants. Yep. Yeah. Big Rab B. This is in the house. Kaiser's in the house saying, oh, yo legend. You what? Spit it out, Baz. What was the question? Something today says. What was the question? Stephen Johnson in the house. Big Rab G. The Chief Big Des. Charge came shout from rear. Willie says, never a red card, pulled out the tackle. Nah, it wasn't a red card. If he had made serious contact with the player and he kept his leg straight, I would say it's a red card all day long. And you couldn't argue it. But the fact that he goes in with his foot and then he pulls out straight away, people will still say, look, it should have been a red card. But when someone intentionally puts their elbow up like this, running past the goalkeeper to try and smash him in the face with the elbow, that's a sending off. That's a red card. That's dangerous play. That's intentional dangerous play. You could say that sliding along the grass with your stud showing is intentional, and you could say it's reckless. But the fact that he pulls his leg out, he just gets away with it. If Rio Hatate doesn't pull his leg back just as he's going in, I mean, the still photos make it look terrible because it looks as if he's actually got contact. But the Kilmarnock player's leg keeps going in the same direction, right? It doesn't buckle. It doesn't move. If Rio Hatate hits him full pelt, he's spinning round and he's flying up in the air. There's just no way that he's not. But he falls straight forward. He falls in a forward line. And to me, that says that, there was the minimal contact, if any. That was Willie says it was never a red card that he had to pull out. Hello, everyone. How you doing, Stephen? Says Andrew. Kevin Carson says nothing different for that mob. Nah, there's nothing different at all. It's always they've got to be offended, and they've got to find something to be offended against, and they've also got to find the slightest little anything to have a go at Celtic. It's always been the case, and ever since the 1990s, I mean, I can remember headlines in the paper. I mean, it was always the case in the 1990s. If Celtic put out a good news story, you could guarantee that afternoon the press would be called round to David Murray's office. They would sit and have their little succulent lamb lunches, and they would discuss what headlines they could make up for tomorrow. And it was basically like fucking kids sitting around the table listening to Jack and Ori. Let's face it, that's what it was basically like. It was like kids sitting around a table listening to Jack and Ori making up stories, and then we'll put them out in the media. Total fabrications of anything of any relevance or anything that could factually happen, but they would put out this unbelievably even better story about the old Rangers and saying that they were going. I mean, the best one was David Murray. If Celtic spend a fiver, we'll spend a tenner. Money with no goat. Pretty much. Anyway, Kelly Tactics was to go on hard. Yeah, it was that. Chilpill is in the house. What about right on Ida? Yes. I mean, that's Ida's an update on that this evening. Adam Ida has pulled out of the international squad due to the injury to his nose. Now, there's every chance that he's maybe broken his nose. The fact that there was blood coming from this area on his nose where the elbow hits him in the face, and then internally when his nose was bleeding for the best part of the match. No, my brother he runs a Thai boxing gym, and I've seen guys getting hit off the face with an elbow before, and it's a flipping sore one. But the media aren't talking about that whatsoever, because the guy got a yellow card and that's it. Sweep it under the table. It's no big deal. Hail, everyone. How you doing, Stephen? Hail, mate, says Andrew. Nothing different from that, obviously, says Kevin. Stuart Carey says, what about right on Ida? You just spoke about that. Hello, people, says Chilpill. Celtic Girl says, hail, family. Something Today says, Kelly Tactics were going hard, yet they did that. Casper didn't look happy. He didn't look happy. I thought he was going to... If that had been the holy goalie would have got up and smacked on one off the face. The fact that Casper does this because he sees the elbow coming, the player, and they talk about arms being in natural positions. Your arm like this is not a natural position when you're running past a goalkeeper. It's not a natural position. But anyway, Kaiser, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, exactly. I've not been on the blah, blah, blah channel for a while, actually, since last week. Anyway, Big Des says there's a few dodgy tackles in the league, and press focusing on anything they can to cause us harm. They will, says Big Des. Exactly. And it's always been the case. There's not going to be any different. So, there's never any. What I like about the way that we deal with it is there's never any fake outrage to everything that they try and hit us with. We just take it on the chin and we know what's coming. I seen a lot of things yesterday. I seen one, a lot of my mates retweeting things on Twitter about a church in Glasgow that was stopped, basically anyone getting into it, because there was a march going right past the church. Why does a Remembrance Sunday march by the Orange Order get to go right past a Catholic church door? The priest was 45 minutes late getting into the church because the police wouldn't let him by because it was not safe. Is this the Scotland we live in? We know that Scotland's a Protestant country, but you would be as well saying that, look, Scotland's freaking anti-Catholic and you better just like it or lump it. Now, the fact that you tell them, Doug, you tell them. Exactly. The fact that the Catholic team, I know, fuck, bugger them, eh? The fact that the Catholic team in Scotland are the top dogs and have been for the best part of 20 years, and the media have to find anything. Hey, how are you backing it? Because of the Huns. You don't like them either, eh? That's why you moved to a Catholic country, eh? That's not right. There we go. Nobody mentioned the elbows in Celtic players. Yep, nobody does. Anyway, let's jump through the comments section. If I've missed anything without, Paul McCune is in the house. Willie2269 says, they never thanked us for clapping when the Queen died. No, they never, did they? They never sort of congratulated us and saying that we clapped nicely when the Queen died. Chelba says, watch Robert Kelly's Doorstep documentary on YouTube. I've been plugging it for days. You'll see anti-Celtic bigotry there, all right. Robert Kelly's Doorstep documentary. I'll need 2 seconds till I get a okay, let's copy that. Let me just open my page, Chelpel, just till I get this. I could tell you about loads of anti-Catholic stuff that I had to deal with when I had the business back home, but I'm Mother Kelly's Doorstep. It's a song for the 50s or something. I'm getting coming up. Mother Kelly's Doorstep. Mother Kelly's Doorstep, 1991. It's a song. Oh, you'll need to try and get the link to me. Bugger that. Right, coffee and a joint time, says Carly, Celtic Girls. Big Des says they want politics out of football as well. Well, this is the thing as well, right? They want politics out of football. Don't get me even started about that, because UEFA and the British media are one of the world's worst. I've been looking into a lot of stuff, and obviously you've seen a lot of stuff that's came out of Amsterdam this week. And there was one cracking video that I might put it on another channel, but it shows you the report from Sky News talking about the Maccabi Tel Aviv fans, and then an hour later they change the narrative of the story and say there was fans with black hoodies on. So that's all you need to know. But anyway, I'm going to jump through the comments. Scott is in the house. It says they've spent their tenors. They have that. On Robert Kelly's doorstep. I'll try that. Kaiser says the only tenor Sefco got are in the ladies' bathrooms for her. Is there a zombie alert? Is there? Big Des says there's a zombie alert. I can't see him. I'm sure one of the. I can't see him. Big Des zombie alert. If there's a zombie, and I'm sure that one of the guys with the chill pills on, so I don't think it'll last long. It was all this. Danny says, I think you'll know. Right, anyway, let's jump back into some more of these amazing headlines. There was a fantastic story put out by one publication late this afternoon, which talks about Brendan Rodgers' class of 24 and how it looks like being the finest vintage yet. The question that was put to Brendan Rodgers come full time after his 2-0 win over Kilmarnock at Rugby Park is one that he'd never have to answer as Celtic manager. But the fact that the record books show that twice in a year Kilmarnock beat us last season. When you look back to the losses last season in the Premier Sports Cup back in August, and then in December when Kilmarnock beat us again for the second time in the season, there was a lot of people saying that maybe Brendan Rodgers wasn't right to come back, and there was a lot of people jumping on the bandwagon saying that Brendan Rodgers, it's his style of football, blah, 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 but we know what happened. We went on to win the league. After RB Leipzig last Tuesday, after Aberdeen, we went to Kilmarnock again this weekend, and it wasn't the best performances on a pitch that was super dry. The pitch that should never... I mean, nobody's talking about the pitch. I mean, if they want to improve Scottish football, right, and if they want to rid things, if they want to rid things from the game, they want to rid free speech from the terraces, which seems to be the way that Scotland wants to go. It wants to rid free speech from the terraces. You want to be able to put out the best looking product. They call it a product because that's what they do. They call it a product. You want to give the best possible product to the TV companies. That pitch was terrible. The way that the ball rolled on it and everything, it was just absolutely terrible. But anyway, it goes on to say it was very inconceivable that Rodgers' men are in a better place at this point in the season. Last season they had 29 points after the first round of fixture. They now have 31. So at this point of the season, last season, we had 29 points. This season, we're sitting on 31 points. We're a few points to the better. 2023, we had 1 point in the Champions League. At this point in the Champions League, we had 1 point in the Champions League. This season, we have 4. No, we've got 7. We've got 7, sorry. We've got 7 points. I forgot. We've got 7 points in the Champions League. The early exit, it goes on to say, from the League Cup summed up a difficult start to Rodgers' second spell in charge. On the 15th of December last year, this year, they looked to extend their trophy haul by defeating Rangers at Hampden, and I think that we all think that one's a given. I think if there was to be an upset on the day and Rangers were to do the highly unlikely and to win, at Hampden, I think that would be one of the biggest shockwaves to go around, not just European football, but I think world football, if they were to beat us in the cup final. There's no great secret why the Scottish champions have kicked on throughout a productive summer transfer window, it says. Rodgers repeatedly made the case for better players. In landing Kasper Schmeichel, Adam Ida, Austin Trusty, Alex Baye, Arne Engels and Luke McCown, the manager got the desired backing from the board. This is quite a good piece because it's one of the only publications that coming out of the UK that are actually giving some credit to Celtic today. He's already justified it with the faith with the final international break of the year now upon us. Rodgers has just lost one of 18 matches this season. It was a brutal reverse in Dortmund, obviously, and but we bounced back against Atalanta, getting that unbelievable draw in Italy, which sparked the run that we've currently been on. And it was a turnaround, I think. And I did say at the time that there is a game that you'll look back on in the season that was a little turning point. And I said that the Atalanta could be that. Before the Aberdeen game, I said we'll look back at the Atalanta draw and the motivation and the joy that the players got out from holding out from an absolute battering for the best part of 70 odd minutes in Italy and holding out for that draw was absolutely unbelievable. The confidence boost that they would have got for that draw was just what we needed at the right time of the season. Now Aberdeen have been pushing us in the league, and when it came to the League Cup semi-final, well, we kind of just kept going where we were left off, and we scored an absolute barrel load of goals against Aberdeen. It goes on to say the Champions League table presently has them sitting in 15th position. Now, I'm going to cut away from this article just a second because there has been a tweet put out by Football Rankings. Now, Football Rankings have put out a projected Champions League knockout stages, and they have predicted the possibility of teams finishing in the knockout phase. Celtic are sitting on 94.2% probability of Celtic getting through to the knockout phase of the Champions League. A 94.2% probability. That's more than Juventus. That's more than PSV. That's more than Stuttgart. That's more than Benfica. That's more than PSG. It's more than Feyenoord. It's more than Dynamo Zagreb. It's more than Club Brugge. It's more than Leipzig. It's more than Bologna. It's more than Shakhtar Donetsk, Salzburg, just to name a few. And there's not many teams that are, well, there's a lot of teams that are above them. Obviously, Liverpool have got a 99%. Inter Milan's got a 99%. But the fact that Celtic have a probability score of 94.2%, you're talking about Lille above us, Atletico Madrid, Monaco, Aston Villa, Bayern Munich, Bayer Leverkusen, AC Milan, Arsenal, Atalanta, Manchester City, Barcelona, Borussia Dortmund, Sporting, Inter and Liverpool are the teams that sit above us. It means that Celtic would finish around about 17th in the league if it was to stay the same. Well, 17th is where we are just now. I think Celtic can finish a lot higher in the league than 17th, but we'll just have to wait come the end of the group phase of the Champions League. Now let's get back to the story about Brendan Rodgers having a vintage team this season. The Champions League table presently has them sitting in 15th position ahead of the likes of Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, AC Milan. It makes a welcome change from the past two seasons, which have had the final group stage match classed as a dead rubber. And it has been a dead rubber. If you look back at the Champions League games, the last game it's a dead rubber game. It was intuitive that the game on Sunday, Rodgers brought McCowan, Bernardo, Kyogo, Furiashi and James Forrest onto the pitch. Something that he was unable to do last season because the subs just wasn't as good. He said when he lost the first domestic cup tie in Scotland 15 months ago, previously at the same venue, he started, and the starting side included the likes of Gustav Lagerbielke, Odin, Ohm, Norowski, and you get what you pay for, basically. With the first track of the Premiership just completed and Aberdeen lasting the pace, no one within Lennoxtown will welcome comparisons to Rodgers' invincible side of 2016-2017? Well, too late, because after 7 games of the season, remember, I asked the question then. After 7 games of the season, I asked the question then, because statistically, this team this year were better than Rodgers' team in 2016-2017 because we had scored more goals. And that's the only reason that I asked the question was, is this team potentially better than the 2016-2017 team? As it stands just now, we are in a better position. We have scored more goals. Statistically, we are just about there. If we win the treble, if we go unbeaten to the end of the season, then the comparison will be made. I'm glad I shouted it out 7 games into the season and said, can this team be just as good? And people said it was too early to call. But I seen a little something after the first 7 games where I thought, we could be onto something this year, and we're going to be onto a cracking year for all the right things. We want to break that 55. We want to become the officially. We know that they died and they bought the trophies and they shared a league championship win with Dumbarton in 1906 or something. How you could share a league title, I've no idea. But when it comes to it, Celtic will become the most successful team ever in Scotland. Fact. When we win the treble this year. But anyway, it goes on to say, after a difficult first season, Rodgers and Celtic are absolutely flying. Where it might lead to is the intriguing question. And it is the intriguing question. When you think about where we were before Ange Postecoglou came into Celtic. When you think about where we were when Brendan Rodgers came back, we were on a good run, but we couldn't do it into the Champions League, and we couldn't do it into the Champions League. We were terrible in the Champions League. Let's face it. I mean, Ange is getting shown up for the manager he really is, because I think Spurs are sitting down 11th in the league or something, aren't they? But when Brendan Rodgers came back, I think that we all knew that he had unfinished business. And this season is proven that he has unfinished business. Anyway, I'm just looking at the comments. I have no idea what is going on in the comment section. Do a poll. Big Des says do a poll. Yeah, we'll do a poll. How many is on? There's 280 on, right? We'll do a poll. Just check that. There we go. There is the poll for tonight. Poll, is Stavros a Hun or a Tim? I can't even see Stavros. Stavros. Who can't he be called Stavros, surely? Anyway, I smell a Hun. Just leave him on. It's fantastic stuff that if he is, it means that he's subscribed to the channel. No, it's not, because the subscription isn't on, isn't it? And can this team be better than the 2016-2017 team? The team that were undisputed heavyweight champions when it comes to Scottish football. They were the team that were unbeaten throughout the whole season. And after 7 games into the season, I mean, you can go back to the videos, I asked the question then, potentially, can this team be better? And everyone said, calm down, Baz, it's only 7 games into the season. What are you seeing that we are not? Well, statistics showed me that this team was better, in a better position. We had scored more goals than the 2016-2017 team. That looks as if it's not going to give up. We've got a fantastically younger squad. We've got a younger squad than that squad back in 2017 by a couple of years. We've got players that are on longer contracts. We've got players that are on longer contracts that has the potential to keep this team together for a considerable amount of years. Ultimately, we could be getting close to another 9 in a row with Celtic under Brendan Rodgers in just a few years' time. But would he stay that length of time? I don't know. That's a talk for another day. Anyway, there's currently 66 votes, mate. There's 274 people on. Let's get over 100 odd votes on this one. Come on, let's get over 200 votes, because there's 274 people watching right now. There's been over 1,100 on the live altogether. There's 267. Some people don't like the vote, or the other current bunch. Can this team be better than the 2016, 2017 team? And if you say no, tell me why not in the comment section. Why you don't think that this team will be better than the 2016, 2017 team? Because I'd like to, talk about it. Ciao, Paul. Get that Ian Tindernhill. Danny says, it's going to be easy peasy. The bold CV is on fire as well. It was, yep. Yes, we are playing much better football and doing okay in Europe, says Stuart. I'm not even reading some of these comments. Will we do the treble undefeated? Yes, I think so. That's my early prediction. Yes, I think we'll do the treble undefeated. I think you've got to be undefeated. If we do the treble, we're undefeated in 2 cups. To be invincible, we need to make sure that we're unbeaten in the league. Can we go unbeaten in the league? My early prediction is yes. I think we can. I think that this team is that good. I think that this team is that motivated. I think that Callum McGregor, having been through, he was in the original Invincible team. He will want to do it on his own accord. He will want to make his own legendary status within the history of Celtic. And James Forrest being in 2 double Invincible teams, can go down as one of the greatest Celtic players ever to have lived. We are living amongst a time where there's living legends amongst us. When we talk about legends at Celtic and people that have done vast number of games and won umpteen trophies, we look back to people that played in the 67 team. We look back to Bobby Lennox and such, and Jinky, and we look back at all these fantastic players. We never, for one moment, we never thought back in 2017 that we would be sitting in a position where Celtic could ultimately have players on their hands that would be one club players, just like Paul McStay. It was very rarely that you had a player that would see out his full career at Celtic. We're on the verge of having 2 players, modern day players on the verge of becoming living legends. And I think that they will want to make their own piece of history. They'll have it in the back of their minds. We do this, and it's like we will be, and they won't be thinking about we'll be remembered for years to come, and we'll have this legacy at Celtic. They want to do it for themselves. They'll want to do it for themselves, because it's a massive thing. Do you know, it's like, well, I achieved this at Celtic. Would you rather sit at the end of your career and say, I left Celtic and I went down to Portsmouth and I earned 80 grand a week for 3 seasons. I didn't win nothing, but I've got a nice wee bank balance. I've got a bit of cash in the bank. And I do all right for myself. Yeah, it was okay. I had a good career. Or would you rather be James Forrest and Callum McGregor, who come through the system as young boys, who come through the system, come through the youth system, fight their way up and see players that were maybe better than them? I remember talking to a guy down at Paddy's Point just a few weeks ago. He played in the same team as James Forrest. He was at Celtic at the same youth team as James Forrest. And he sits and watches telly now and he thinks, I just didn't make it. I didn't make it. He has a love-hate situation with watching Celtic, because he was in the youth team at Celtic at the same time as James Forrest. And look at James Forrest, he's went on to have a fantastic career. It shows you how many people do not make it. But the ones that we do, we don't give them enough credit. We don't really, we don't think about it until they've gone, until they've left the club. We're living in a time where we have got living legends amongst us. I mean, we called Brownie a legend, a leader, a captain, a legend. James Forrest and Callum McGregor are way up there, way higher than, in my opinion, than what Brownie was at Celtic. Because Brownie he's not a Celtic man, he's a Hibby. Do you know what I mean? So anyway, can this team ultimately be better than the 2016-2017 team? We've got 91 votes, there's 262 people on, so make sure that, come on, get voting, guys. 92% say yes, 8% say no. My local community football pitch has 2 grades above Kilmarnock's surface, says Big Des. Kaiser says, our legends are double invincible legends, and equals disappointing. Yep, means that they're disappointing. I think we'll do the treble invincible. Too many games to go to predict for me. Baz, you seem to know a lot about what people are thinking. Killing myself. Do I? Well, see, just Carly, I know that you're thinking about having a wee joint. Anyway. Right, Craig says we shouldn't even have dropped points against the Sheep. We were all over them, says Chilpel. You're going to have testing times throughout the season. I mean, it's not going to be easy. I'm not saying that it's going to be easy between now and the end of the season. It's not. But I think that this team has that mental ability to get us over the line. Who's Stavros Brainstorm? What is he saying? I'm not even seeing the messages because they're getting deleted before I'm getting to them. Danny says, we James should have a job with Celtic as well, Baz. Yep, I think so. Tam Mac says, I need to go to bed, too much drink tonight. And Stavros has got me here in Daleks. Oh, Jesus. I'm just going to... Stavros is just getting booted. So we'll just give him let's see, put user on his timeout. 24 hours. We'll give him a 24-hour timeout. He can't now comment for at least 24 hours. Chilpel's on fire tonight. I'm not even getting to see what these comments are. He's just on fire. Cheers, Chilpel. Caesar Morris says, Tarmac, Chilpel's got them. Catchy Buddy says that. Yeah, so that is, we're going to end up the poll because we're sitting at 101. So let's end the poll because we always lose 1%. So we'll see how that has ended. Novely Diamond is a Jew Orthodox, obviously. Not one of these Zionists. Can this team be better than the 2016-2017 team? 93% said yes. And you would lose the 1% on the yes. And then the no got 6% of 101 votes. I was enjoying the Stavros, says Hanks. Oh, Jesus. Welcome, even welcome folk for Edinburgh. Yeah, we do that. Right, anyway, that's me done and dusted for this evening. I think we went through... Oh, no, wait a minute. Never spoke about Liam Scales. There's a publication, mailnews.ie. Celtic footballer Liam Scales has strong ties with Kilmaine. The grandmother of the Glasgow Celtic Republican Ireland football player, hailed from South Mayo, lives in Kilmaine, his granny. Liam Scales, the current Celtic player, his grandmother, formerly Maureen Mackey from Kilmaine. She still maintains a strong link with her home parish. Maureen, who is a retired member of the teaching profession, married Michael... Oh, Jesus, it goes on a bit, doesn't it? And then it talks about how he started off and then he joined Shamrock Rovers and Jesus. Anyway, it's a nice wee. If you want to read it, I'll do you know what? I'll put it in the chat and you can go and read it once I finish up. If you want to see a nice wee one about he's getting time as well. I'm not going to see him from there. I don't know what Scott's saying, but he's been gone. He's been gone for 24 hours. Anyway, new poll was Stavros fuming. Is Stavros fuming? I think Stavros is actually a Tim. Well, he's been given a timeout for 24 hours. If Celtic win the treble this season, Erskine Bridge will be mobbed, said David Wilson. You're getting the last comment of the evening. Should I stay? No, I'm done and dusted for the night. I think his Scales is the lion. Jump over to that Mail news.ie to listen. Good night, Baz for the government, says Republican. Says Kevin Stavros has grown his phone at Prince Andrew's portrait over his mantelpiece. Oh man, you are too funny. Anyway, we are sitting at 16,694 subscribers. I'm sure we'll lose a few once the current buns decide to unsubscribe to the channel tonight. We are trying to hit the 20,000 before we play them on the 15th of December. If not, before the January one. Can we get to the big 2-0 before then? I hope so. Anyway, have an absolutely fantastic evening, Celtic fans. Oh, that's the wrong one. I was doing the wrong button, don't I? Lit. Roll up to the